What's up, everyone? Steel Reserve Addict, back tonight for another album chat video. It's been kind of a trial the last few weeks. I actually wanted to talk about these albums like 3 weeks ago, but at first I was just defeated from work, and then a week ago I actually sat down to record some of these videos, or just I sat down to record this video, and my webcam had died, or just like bricked itself for some reason. But yeah, these 4 albums I'm going to talk about today, my thoughts are kind of stale on them, but like I feel like I'm at the point where it's just like I just need to make my video talking about these albums, just get through it, because I've already got like 10 albums that I've been listening to after these. So just need to get these ones out of the way. When I was sitting down to do this, I was like, I'm so over these albums at this point, maybe I should just like skip it. But I was like, I've thought about recording this video so many times. I just need to get it out of the way already. But yeah, I don't think my thoughts on these are going to be too extensive, especially since so much time has elapsed since I was regularly listening to them. But yeah, I'll just start off, just to pad out the video a little bit, I'll just start off just a little bit of a preamble. I'll tell you about this webcam. I actually just bought this like 2 months ago, maybe not even, to make these videos. I mean, I was still making just single album reviews at that time, but I mean, it worked fine for like a few weeks. This is the Razer Keo Pro. And I bought this because it said that it was supposed to be one of the best for low lighting situations, like what I got going on here. Last week when I sat down to record this video, it was like, it was barely functioning. It was just kind of like intermittently functioning for like brief periods. And after I messed with it for a little bit, it just stopped working completely. Like it just doesn't even respond to like being plugged into power or anything. Like the computer doesn't recognize it at all. So I tried updating the firmware and the Razer software and everything, but yeah, I couldn't figure out any way to revive the thing, and I bought it brand new. But the reason I wanted to break all this down about this webcam is that I bought this brand new, but I didn't buy it from a big box retailer or a partner of Razer. And apparently, that actually voids your warranty. So when I went to Razer's website and input the serial number from this in their warranty center, I was advised that, due to the fact that I purchased it from a non-verified or non-partner of Razer, that it basically voids my warranty. So I'm pretty sure if I actually just bought this from like Best Buy or something, I probably would have been able to get a replacement. But yeah, I bought it on Amazon, but I didn't buy it directly from Amazon. I bought it from a seller on Amazon. So yeah, don't if you're buying any Razer products, don't make that mistake. Just buy it from Razer, or make sure it's coming from Walmart or Best Buy, or any other big name retailer. So anyway, I instead bought the what do I got here? What do you call it? The Elgato face cam, I think it's called. So looks like this is supposed to be pretty much like the best overall So yeah, first video with this, and yeah, the Razer Keo Pro. I don't know if these have a tendency to break down, but yeah, short-lived. Just a paperweight, but that's that. Otherwise, just what's going on with me. Just crazy. The reason I didn't even attempt to record for a couple of weeks, just because I was so swamped with work. I have a career where the influx of the volume of work to deal with can drastically change. Almost, kind of randomly, unexpectedly, things can ramp up like severely for a span of like weeks to even beyond a month, and then they can kind of go back down to normal, or they could stay that way. So yeah, it was a crazy couple of weeks. It is kind of going back down to normal now, but yeah, I was just worn out every day after work for a couple of weeks there that I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And last week I was feeling up to it again. I was like, okay, just got to get this video done. Sat down, fucked around with the webcam for like an hour and a half. Could not get the thing to work, and and then ordered this one. Here we are. Other than that, I ran a half marathon race for the first time on Saturday, so that was cool. I was thinking about making videos talking about running. I'm a really heavy runner. I don't really do races, but I run every day. And I've been getting up to like doing like 20-mile runs on like Saturdays and Sundays. Just for the sake of it. So I could definitely talk about running quite a bit. I don't know how much there is to say, but I can make videos chatting about that if anyone was interested also. But we're just just my exercise and health and rationale for what I'm doing. But yeah, marathon was cool. Did it with a friend of mine. I'm sorry, the half marathon was cool. Did it with a friend. Did way better time than I thought we would. So yeah, that was awesome. Just been feeling really down lately. I don't know why. Just over these last couple of weeks, just bringing me down. Just feeling defeated, but it's kind of not normal for me. But yeah, feeling a little bit better now. But yeah, let's get into this album shit. I see that on OBS, I see that like the video is lagging behind what I'm currently doing, so I hope that doesn't translate to a problem in the final product. That would suck if I finished this and the video was like broken. But yeah, so here's my Spotify. You can see what I got going on here. So what I wanted to talk about was, I guess we'll just start at the end here. Oh, it's not the end. Mayhem by Lady Gaga. So, no, it is. It's behind, isn't it? I'm just gonna keep going. I'm seeing myself on the screen. It looks like my video of my face is lagging compared to what I'm doing on Spotify, but I don't know. Maybe that's not actually translating or harming the final product here. But anyway, Mayhem. This is probably the album out of the four I'm going to talk about. This is the one that I had the most to say about, I guess. I think the only Lady Gaga album that I've really listened to in full, was like the first one. I think it's the first one, right? The Fame. I think it's called The Fame, and then the next one was The Fame Monster. But the Fame, that was when I think everyone was introduced to Lady Gaga, and that one had a lot of her earliest, biggest hits on it. So I listened to that, and of course I've heard Lady Gaga over the years, but this is my first, album since, way back then that I actually sought out and listened to. But yeah, this was really cool overall. It's kind of like the palette, the sonic palette of this album is kind of like it's kind of like a lot of it's like pop rock oriented, some like more industrial left field kind of stuff. I wish she kind of went more in the experimental route with this album, but it kind of like only hints at more experimental or industrial ideas, but still keeps it very like palatable to a casual audience. You know what I mean? Like Lady Gaga is like kind of like edgy and gothic and she's like just risque enough, to be intriguing, but like she's still very much an artist that any casual listener can easily digest. But yeah, the first several songs on this album, I thought it was a great run from the beginning. Like Disease really sets the tone, right? And Abracadabra, that's a banger. Although it comes dangerously close to like reminding me of like one of those like what do they call it, like Euro dance. It doesn't, but I feel like it's so close to giving me the vibes of like one of those Euro dance songs, like Cotton Eye Joe or something like that. But it doesn't get there. But it comes dangerously close. But it goes hard. It's a banger. It's super catchy. Definitely one of those like songs that I imagine will be bigger than the album. It's just like one of those songs and music videos that'll be like just like a thing that everyone sees, like just one of those YouTube music videos that goes down in history. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot of like pop rock sort of stuff on here. Some of the stranger ideas come more towards the beginning. I would say there's a lull in this album. It might be starting from like Love Drug to Shadow of a Man. Yeah, I think Love Drug through Shadow of a Man. These songs are very like very basic. They don't like, I remember I probably listened to this album like 4 or 5 times, and like every time I'd get to this series of songs, I had the same thought that it was like they felt so indistinct, like anyone could have made them. They didn't feel like Lady Gaga songs, or like like they fit the themes of the album. Even the lyrics on some of these songs are so they're just full of just pop cliches and like none of the edge or like rawness that you would expect to hear from like a Lady Gaga. Like just very basic lyrics, that like like a focus group writing pop songs would write. Is kind of how I felt about them. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a synth pop oriented sound in the string of these tracks. So that was kind of interesting. Like I feel like the album starts off very strong and then just kind of like meanders for a while on this like synth pop stuff. But I feel like it sticks the landing at the end with The Beast and Blade of Grass. The Beast was one of my favorite songs. Just a very epic song in the lineage, kind of like following like Disease, kind of in a similar style to that, giving it this more like darker sounding song from Gaga. It was a very heavy one. I feel like like I said, my thoughts are so stale on this album. Like I haven't listened to this now in like 2 weeks, and like I would have had so many better comments to make about it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, Blade of Grass was a very strong ballad to end the album with. Die with a Smile. I'm just considering that a bonus track. I don't, you know, I don't think Die with a Smile is the last song of the album. Blade of Grass is the last song. I think I saw something that said Lady Gaga said Die with a Smile is actually the last song, but I don't think it is. I think that's just coping. That's just being afraid to call this a bonus track, because it makes no sense for this to be the final song. But yeah, I remember I wanted to say Killa. This song is like a funky, like psychedelic pop rock song. Kind of reminded me of like Saint Vincent, like the Daddy's Home album. The song was very much reminded me of that. I think Perfect Celebrity was my favorite song. I think that one really captured that like nostalgic, like early 2000s pop rock anthem. But you know, this entire album was just borrowing sounds from multiple eras of pop, and I feel like it comes together pretty well overall. I thought it was a great album. Not amazing, but definitely better than good. It would have been, you know, could have been fantastic, I think, if she just, you know, didn't have a lull in the middle here, or in the second, third, or whatever part of the album that is. But yeah, this album was cool. Shout out to Gaga. Let's see, what's next? Let's go to one of the two metal albums. What are we looking at here? Where did my recents go? I love when Spotify does that. It just like takes away your recents. Like, where'd they go? Okay. Let's talk about this. Gold by Scour. So Scour, I wasn't familiar with Scour until just like a month ago. I saw, you know, I follow some metal channels on YouTube, and I saw people talking about this album. You know, I kept seeing this logo from this album cover, and I didn't think much of it, and I didn't know anything about the band, but eventually I heard somewhere that Phil Anselmo, the singer from Pantera, was fronting this band, and that it was a black metal project, so that really piqued my interest. You know, so I checked them out, and you know, really liked what I heard. I was pretty impressed, because I don't imagine Phil Anselmo in, you know, 2025. Yeah, I don't really keep up with him, but I didn't imagine him being like an amazing vocalist in 2025. And I didn't picture him, you know, fronting an extreme metal band, you know, like this. But yeah, this project, if you don't know, it's like, I guess it's primarily black metal. It's kind of like blackened death metal, maybe. It's kind of like a little bit of both. I guess maybe it's leaning more towards the black metal. You know, there's kind of distinct, you know, there's entire sections of certain songs that feel death metal, and then like it'll abruptly switch to like a more black metal, tremolo picked, you know, section. So, but yeah, Phil is just like, he's just like an animal on this album. Like, I mean, these are easily, I mean, again, I haven't kept up with Phil, so like I know he's in Down and Super Joint Ritual, and I think he's been in another band or two, and obviously Pantera, if I didn't just say that. But I have never heard Phil sound like this, where he's just doing guttural, like just these extremely harsh guttural death metal style bellowing kind of vocals, and then also doing more traditional black metal, like higher pitch rasps. But yeah, he just I think he sounds great on here. That was the thing that really kind of made me interested in this. I was like, I'm just surprised that Phil Anselmo is like 50 some years old and sounds like this. I think one of the guys, I can't remember right now. I think one of the guys is basically, there's two of the guys in the band are from other bands that I can't remember what they are right now, and I think one of them is also just I think it was just a member of this band, and the two other guys are known from other bands along with Phil, of course. So it's like partially like a super group, I guess. But yeah, this album, it took me a little while to collect my thoughts on this, because this is like, these songs are very basic and to the point. Like, this is just a series of blistering, extreme, harsh, loud, just absolutely brutal, blackened death metal songs, or death and black metal songs. It definitely there's an intensity, an immediate intensity to this album that I haven't really heard in a while from an album or from a modern metal band. Like, this album does not fuck around. It just gets straight to the point. It's just absolute blistering brutality for 37 minutes or whatever. Doesn't say. Oh yeah, 37 minutes. And there's touches of, the song structures are very basic. They are not doing anything here to like, they're not showing any sort of like progressive tendency or songwriting, or they're not setting themselves apart in a songwriting sense. They're just, it's got a similar intent, like it's kind of like a similar like intention that you would get from like a grindcore album, where they're just there to melt your face off and leave. That's kind of what this feels like. There are some moments though where you get some more like melodic, almost emotive playing at certain parts, which kind of adds a little spice into the mix. There are some twists and turns that will surprise you in the midst of the chaos of this album. Also, just some really unexpectedly epic solos on here too. Like, you'll just be listening to a song that you would expect to have just a Slayer style wailing, screeching solo, and you'll hear like some super heavenly, epic, like ascending, guitar god kind of solo on a couple of these tracks. I think Gary Holt is that the guy's name from Exodus? I think he's on one of these songs. I can't remember which one it is right now. But even just like the guitarist for the band itself just has some epic solos on here. Just kind of the songs, like solos that you wouldn't expect on songs like this. So yeah. But yeah, just intense, evil, brutal death and black metal. Maybe it's like 60-40, like black metal to death metal ratio. But yeah, this album's cool. Definitely recommend it if you are just looking for some intense shit, or if you're just interested to see what Phil Anselmo sounds like doing a really compelling, extreme metal vocal performance. Okay, how far through this video are we? 24 minutes, yeah, so this one's probably going to be shorter than my last couple. But it's okay, because I'm like 3 or 4 videos behind. Okay, let's talk about Playboi Carti. Music. Yeah. So this album, I like Playboi Carti. I was thinking for a while, like, what can I say about this album? I like Playboi Carti. I'm not like I'm kind of an old head at this point, but but I understand this type of music, this rage sound that Playboi Carti had kind of pioneered. Um, but I think the sound itself is extremely one-dimensional. There's very little, I think, that Playboi Carti is adding to it after a whole lot of red, right? I don't really feel it's been probably a couple of years since I last listened to a whole lot of red, but I don't feel like this album is really taking the sound any further, and it's been over 4 years since a whole lot of red, right? So I feel like with Playboi Carti, unless he figures out a way to continue innovating, I won't be surprised if this is kind of the peak to the interest in his music, and it kind of dwindles from here, because I don't know what else he can do. I mean, this is 30 tracks, right? 30 tracks. And this is he did release like an additional version that had 4 extra tracks, just a deluxe. But this is the original version. So 30 tracks, like, no. This is just not tenable. 30 tracks of this is just too much. I listened to this album. Honestly, I probably only listened to it like 4 times all the way through, because I like what Carti. This is the problem. I like what Carti does on a lot of these tracks. I might even like more of them than I dislike. But like, after I get like 8 tracks into this, I'm like over it. It's like, you listen to a few of these songs in a row and you understand everything that there is to know about Playboi Carti. Like, he does this rage sound, this, distorted, aggressive, distorted, I don't even know what the adjectives are to describe this kind of sound, but like, once you heard a whole lot of red, you basically know all there is to know about it. And there's other, there's more. There's like, what's his name? I know there's some of these younger guys that are like in their teens and like 20 who are innovating on a little bit more than Playboi Carti, I guess, but the sound is unmistakable. It's just like this exaggerated, distorted, broken, like choppy, like clipping. It's like the sound of like a video clipping, but in in an album. I don't know. It's like, I feel like industrial is a word that I overuse, but it's kind of industrial. It kind of just sounds like soulless, like just like modern or futuristic, distorted, kind of like mechanical, and there's some curveballs in here. There is some more soulful stuff, and there's some touches of there's like some guitars on the one song with Travis Scott. I think it is Philly. There's some catchy. I mean, the best songs on here are just the ones that are really catchy, where Carti comes through with a catchy verse and a catchy hook, and it's a catchy beat. I think that's when Carti's working at his best, when everything is just super catchy and satisfying to hear. Because the problem is, Playboi Carti is not a songwriter. He's not a lyricist. So all he can do is try to make songs that are pleasing to the ear for people that like this kind of music. And for 30 tracks for over an hour long, this is just obscene. Like, I know a lot of people's approach to stuff like this is just to take the songs that they like and leave the rest, and that's fine. But I'm just looking at this as an album. I'm just looking at it like a product. And for what it is, I think, like, yeah, it's pretty mid, because, you can't have an album that's 30 tracks long and maybe 15 of them are great, but, this honestly should be cut down to like 30 to 40 minutes at the most. I mean, even if this was 40 minutes long, I'd be winded by the end of it. There is just nothing to Carti. Like, I like to hear him, but there is nothing. You don't know anything about Carti. Carti isn't telling you anything about his perspective, his philosophy. He's not telling you stories. He's not even helping you really envision anything. You know, when I listen to Carti, I don't. He's not painting a picture about anything. You know, like he does have some funny lyrics, like lyrics that are so stupid or vapid or, you know, just absurd that they make you laugh. I mean, that's the most. That's what's going to keep you coming back lyrically, is that there's some pretty amusing lyrics on this album. Like, I can't remember. There were some really funny lyrics, but I haven't listened to this in like a couple weeks now. But there's a couple songs that had like some seriously funny, like stupid, absurd lyrics that I was really enjoying. But yeah, I don't even, you know, honestly, all my favorite songs on here are the ones with Kendrick, just because Kendrick adds an additional dimension to these songs. You know, like Backdoor. It's like, oh, Kendrick comes through with a strong hook. What's the other one? Yeah, Good Credit. Good Credit. He has a pretty hard verse on there. Even Mojo Jojo, just hearing Kendrick do the ad libs, yeah, that was fun. I feel like he actually gelled with Carti pretty well. The Travis Scott features, really didn't care about them. The Weeknd was fine, but you know, that was more like a Weeknd song with a Carti feature. Skepta, he went pretty hard on his verse. Charge Them Hoes a Fee, this song was mind-numbingly, excuse me, this song was like mind-numbingly boring. Hated that one. Yeah, there were some really good ones. Like, I really start to lose it towards the end. Like, I don't even remember which ones at the end I liked. But honestly, I liked a lot of them, but it's just way too long. The biggest disappointment on this album is that there wasn't more songs like Pop Out. You know, Stop Breathing was my favorite song on Whole Lot of Red. And Pop Out came right out the gate with that sort of just unhinged energy. I feel like maybe that's something Carti should have done to take this sound to the next level, would be to ramp up that aggression and anger and just, you know, go all out. But literally the only moment that he gives you this unhinged, kind of screaming, raspy, extreme kind of vocal style is just on Pop Out. And the rest of the album, I don't think he once indulges in a more extreme vocal style like that, which I don't understand why, because there's 29 more tracks. Like, I mean, he was switching his voice up between doing like, you know, his newer, like the thing that he added to this album that didn't exist in the last one was the lower future sounding inflection that he uses on this one. So I appreciated that. I appreciated the variability between the future sounding voice and the normal higher pitched Carti. But really, this album would have been so much better if it was half the length and there was more songs with the intensity of Pop Out. Would have been so much better. But yeah, I don't know where Carti goes from here. I feel like interest in him is going to start to wane quite a bit if he makes another album that sounds like this. So we'll see. But yeah, I still like Playboi Carti, but overall I thought this album was pretty mid to even maybe kind of bad, like just on the verge of being bad, I would say. But there's enough good songs, you know, in the mix that it is something I would maybe return to here and there. But yeah, not as an album experience, not good at all. Okay, last one for the night here. 34 minutes in. The other metal album. So, Havukruunu, Tavastland. I'm trying to remember now. I can't remember. Is this band? Is this Swiss? I feel like an idiot. I can't remember. Is this band? Finnish? Are they Swiss? What language is that? Guys, I can't remember what what nationality this band is. But my bad. Like I said, these albums were fresh in my mind 3 weeks ago in this band. I didn't know about this band until then. But anyway, I saw this band and this album getting a lot of fanfare. This just released recently. This is like a folky black metal project. So I checked this out, and it's cool. This might be like the most, besides the new Death Heaven, this might be the black metal album that I've seen the most acclaim for this year. Like, people really love this album. So these are like these grand, massive scale. I don't even know. I guess they're black metal, but they have such a folk sound. I would almost consider this more so like Viking metal, like in the vein of like the Viking era of Bathory. More so than black metal. Like, there's 100% black metal sections and riffing in these songs, and like vocals that would be correspondent to black metal. But I feel like this has like more of like a Viking sound, like an epic folk Viking fantasy kind of like sound to it. And these songs are very huge. They're like stadium-sized songs, which, if we're going to consider this a black metal album, it actually reminded me a lot of that album from last year, Spectral Wound. I don't remember the name of the album, but that band also had these like, like maybe it's almost like this rock and roll kind of quality to it. You know what I mean? Like this big, heavy riffing, mid-paced, like rockin' ass, like black metal. You know what I mean? It feels like something that even people who don't listen to black metal would hear and be like, oh yeah, that rocks. I get kind of the same feeling from this album. I like this album, but I don't love it. I know I definitely don't feel so strongly about it as a lot of people do, who are putting this up in the highest tier of black metal for the year. Just a lot of like acoustic, folky elements to the songs. They're super huge. The production is very clean. It's powerful but clean. Very again, I wish I had more adjectives, but the production feels very like crisp. I don't want to say overproduced, but it doesn't feel like, it feels very odd for black metal. I think the production style is something that kind of takes me out of the black metal sound of this a little bit. But yeah, very just like clean, crisp, but it is heavy, very modern sounding. These songs do have a lot of blistering passages. Almost every song has like a very like a bluesy, like rock style guitar solo. Very, very unusual for a black metal band to play guitar solos like the ones that you'll hear on this album. They're very, very much like what you would hear in like classic rock or something. Or maybe not classic rock, but I don't know. I think it's just like a bluesiness to them that I'm like picking up on. Just not really a metal sound, more blues and less metal, which was kind of cool. That was an interesting thing to hear. Like I said, I can't compare this to a band, one of the band's previous albums, because I haven't heard anything else by them. But I mean, none of the songs on here really stood out to me. Like in particular, I thought the entire album was enjoyable from top to bottom, but it does feel like it does feel repetitive. I don't want to say that as like a negative. I mean, black metal on the whole is a very repetitive kind of one note genre, but a lot of these songs kind of, you know, if you see, they all seem like well written songs, but they kind of, most of them follow the same kind of conventions, and, you know, lead up to the solo, and they kind of have like a crescendo that they build to. But yeah, this was cool. I didn't love it. Definitely not gonna be one of my top metal albums of the year. But if you're into that like Viking sound, especially like if you're into that Viking folk metal sort of thing, you'll probably really enjoy this. If you're into like more straight up black metal, like me, you might not love it so much. But I'm just typically not a big fan of like really strongly folk-oriented projects. You know what I mean? I like more subtle folk inclusions or more atmospheric folk stuff. I'm not a big fan of like when the folk metal, when the folkiness in the metal is like at the forefront. But yeah, I think that this is, you know, this is a good album for sure. And you know, you might even think it's fantastic if you're you know, down with this sound, you know. So yeah, I know I'm just kind of rambling on, but yeah, I need to make another video soon before my you know, before my fleeting thoughts have been lost on the next albums I'm gonna talk about. I think maybe Warbringer will be next. Deaf Heaven. I might do a video just about Deaf Heaven. I've been listening to this a ton and going back and checking out Deaf Heaven's older stuff. I might do a video just talking about their discography. That might be a good idea. Boldy James has released 2 projects since the last time I talked about him. But yeah, I will probably be back sooner than later to talk about more of these. So yeah, if you're fucking with the ASMR and just checking out metal and hip hop and just whatever random ass albums I'm talking about, you know, let me know what's up if you have anything to say about these, or you know, any you know, recommendations for anything you want to hear from me. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, you know, let me know. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you. Good night.